Welcome to everyone. Thank you for being here. I felt very honored. And thank you very much, Sarah and Dirk, for opening up this space for me in order to showcase my research work and to pose questions about the craft of ethnography work and the digital in our everyday lives. I always like to start situating myself as a way of acknowledging my partial standpoint as a researcher. So I must say that I was born and raised in Mexico, where I also studied critical psychology, and I worked for 4 years in indigenous and public health environments with women and programs of violence, prevention and attention of violence against women. And then I moved to Europe to do my master's degree in gender studies. And right now I'm based in Barcelona in the Open University of Catalonia, the interdisciplinary program of Information and Knowledge Society. So there is where I'm doing my PhD, and the thematic is running. My first approach to ethnography was a couple of years ago when I was doing the master's. So I consider myself a newcomer to the field, a learner and enthusiastic, because I've been finding a space in which I can explore critical thinking and creativity towards research. So, as I can't talk about my whole thesis today because of time issues, what I'm gonna do is to sketch out a set of main ideas, and then I will focus on a couple of examples of the fieldwork that are linked to the digital exploration of the running practices. And I want to show partial outcomes to pose questions regarding my research progress or process, which is an ongoing work right now. So to start, running as a topic of inquiry has long been studied and analyzed from different angles, disciplines, approaches, and for diverse purposes. For instance, from health and natural sciences approaches, which is the most common. And more recently, it's been raising a growing body of research from social sciences and art studies, where questions regarding running cultures, the social nature of running for health politics, uses and modalities of running as a metaphor and method of inquiry, and the intersection of running with other disciplines like urban planning to generate policies are at the center of the current debates in academia and beyond. Running might be considered either as a practice that has always existed or as a contemporary worldwide phenomenon. In the 1970s, in the United States, there was a boom of competitive and recreational jogging. And after that occurred the same in other countries. For example, in Spain, it is common to link the running boom with the economic crisis that started in 2005. And there was a substantial increase of popular races and people's participation in running activities due to the economic crisis effects. For instance, as people were unemployed, had plenty of time and had little money to invest on gyms and other sporting and leisure activities, they started running as part of their daily lives because, among other reasons, it was considered as a simple to do and cheap sport. So basically anyone could access this sport. So in Barcelona, the practice of running is highly popular. It's a highly popular everyday activity, and according to information of the Timing Company Championship in Catalonia, the highest participation peak registered in one of the most popular road running races was in 2013, with more than 23,000 people arrived to the finish line, in comparison to 2003, which were more than 5,000 people. So in November of 2015, when I first got to Barcelona, I was new in the city, and I was very much surprised how much the people were involved in running practices as an everyday activity. As I went deeper in my observations, I noticed that these activities were profoundly embedded in the urban context in multiple ways, traversing scenarios, materialities, ideologies, and relating to things, technologies, and politics, making the running phenomenon a complex scenario. So, if I had to define somehow running, I would say that I was witnessing an ongoing process, constantly becoming, composed of diverse practices, scenarios, platforms, and actors, producing moments, encounters, relationships, and flows within various intensities, forces, emphases, and directions. Because of my background in psychology and gender studies, I am very interested in the idea of subjectivity and subjective positions. So I could see that in the middle of this process that is running, within these relations of complexity is where runners' subjectivity was being shaped. So I became interested in the ways in which the embodied experiences of running were shaped by the urban environment and the digital technologies. And I also wanted to know whether these flows of interaction between the running body, the city, and the digital were producing any kind of micropolitics through which it could be possible to track down affirmative uses of power in everyday life. So the general aim was to look for intensities, flows, ways of interaction, relations, differences, and entanglements among the body, the urban environment, and the digital technologies, in order to overcome dualisms like human, non-human, nature, culture, and technology self, following with what the posthumanist propositions propose as a way of thinking subjectivity and the meanings of being human in our contemporary times. My main interest in researching running is focused on the possibility to explore everyday practices through the lens of post-human ideas of subjectivity. In this case, post-human subjectivity could be defined as an embodied, complex, open-ended set of relations between humans, other species, materialities, things, technologies, processes, etc. So in January of 2016, I started ethnographic fieldwork in Barcelona with non-professional runners by joining running groups and training with them, conducting walking and running interviews, attending to road races, and multiple social events, tracking the use of digital technologies, recording audio and photos. And I also follow up some runners' habits lifestyles, and some aspects of the organization of the running events. Additionally, I did ethnographic activities such as training and self-tracking. So during a year of ethnographic fieldwork, I conducted 49 in-depth and short focus interviews while walking in the city, running, training, standing in the finish line of the races, or sitting in the offices of the people that just open the space for a conversation. I also followed up many of the participants and the running clubs, dynamics, and races. I was, and I still am, very much inspired by mobile methods of inquiry and by the debates on mobility and spatiality within critical geography when considering embodied practices and emplacement of the participants as key elements to understand other ways of placemaking and place reconfiguration. So, departing from this overview of the project, I will go on with the presentation of two examples consisting of encounters with participants along the fieldwork. And from them, I will put the lens of analysis on the uses of digital media and technologies within running practices in relation to the body and the environment. In this case, I will refer to the narratives of the participants, the inputs from the encounters, and the track of their use of apps and online platforms, where they upload content, publish their posts, and comment on them. From this focus, I will show initial outcomes of how meanings and understandings of the body and the urban environment emerge. So the first example is, I will present it through Jimmy, which is a participant, but it's also connected to a webpage, which is a meetup, a running group, which is Barcelona Casual Runners, and also a podcast that Jimmy is running about health and sports. So Jimmy Flores is 34 years old, a Mexican-American man living in Barcelona and Madrid for 15 years now. He works in marketing companies and in the fashion design industry, and has been a casual and serious runner for the last 4 years. The first time we saw each other was at the entrance of Parc de la Ciutadella, a well-known park in Barcelona, when I was joining for the first time the 10K route of the running group Barcelona Casual Runners in May of 2016. This club is organized through the Meetup web page and has more than 6 years old, which with an inclusive philosophy of casual training in which any rhythm of participation is welcome. They meet up each Tuesday and Thursday to run a predefined 10K route in the city along the promenade in different directions. Here are the maps that they are showing in the webpage. So the routes are predefined in the promenade. 2 directions. One corresponds to the one they do Tuesdays, and the other one is for Thursdays. So this meetup webpage works for organization purposes mainly. It is constantly updated with information and photos of each meetup or training. It is an open site, so you can become a member easily just by logging in your Meetup account, which is free to get, and then you have to just do a click, and that's it. You can become a member of the club and join the runs. And also it holds the photographic history of the groups. You can see the members, and you can communicate with the members online through inbox messages. So going back to Jimmy, after each run, they meet up also to drink a beer in the same bar outside the park, where they can have their stuff. Like their backpacks, in order not to run with them. They can leave their backpacks in this bar and then they take a beer. It's like a previous arrangement that they have with the bar. So going back to Jimmy, although he works in the marketing industry, he invests much of his time in running activities. He declares himself a fan and passionate of running, and actually he participates actively, not just training or road racing, but he, along with his partner, also run a podcast about running, swimming, and health. He thinks there is a lack of content generation of running in Spain, and is committed to this and other ideas that has on mind regarding the diffusion and promotion of emergent running stories. So I was invited by him to basically have a conversation live in his podcast, and he will talk. That time he talked about his motivations, his uses of technology while running, his memories as a runner, the races in which he had participated, etc. So in our different encounters, narratives, and trackings, Jimmy showed and shared in many ways not just his uses of digital media and self-tracking technologies for running purposes, but also how he connects physically and digitally with other runners, how he learns about running through sharing runs or information in blogs, how he gives back to the running community part of his experience through the generation of content, and the way he engaged with Barcelona landscape while training and racing in the city and surroundings. So one interesting detail I noticed along the encounters was that along his 5 years running now, his motivations practicing running changed along with his uses of mobile applications. He declared that he had started running for weight loss purposes, to be fit and in shape. And once he achieved his goal, he committed to run marathons, and actually he was thinking about running an ultramarathon, saying that now running for him was an experience that gave him sense and meaning to his existence. He describes running as a challenge and a discipline more than a life routine. Also as a reason of being self-proud, a personal identity based mainly on the achievements. For instance, he was saying also as if he were saying his name, yeah, I did 20K, I did 30K, I did 40K, and I will do 50K. So he was achieving his races as personal goals. So he said he identified himself so much as a runner. He first used Nike Plus app, then changed into Runtastic, and now he uses Strava. This is the applications, the 3 different applications. According to his interpretation, he said that each application can show the profile of runner that you are or the type of motivations that you have for running. For instance, Nike Plus is for the people that show off and pretend being a runner, but it's just like a masquerade, and it's a to pose as a runner, pretend to be one. Then Runtastic is for people that run 2 or 3 times a week and wants to be fit or to lose weight, but aren't greatly interested in improving their personal records. Strava is for people whose life plans revolve around running. Indeed, Strava is full of professional runners that you can connect with and access to their numbers and information. And he also said, I love seeing what I am not able to do or achieve while visiting others people's profile on Strava. Through time, he discovered different features and uses of each app that fitted best his training interests. Many of his publications on Instagram are screenshots from Strava application of his weekly numbers of kilometers done and timings. There is a series of photos in his Instagram publications that shows the image of this weekly activity circle. I don't know if it has a particular name, like a technical name, but this circle fills up with the completion of everyday objective. So he said, I love to see how this circle is filling up along the week when it registers my daily run. It is good to see, it encourages me and makes me feel proud, and in a way forces myself to run, pursuing the completion of the goal previously set. The information recorded in his Strava application and his Instagram works as an archive where he has all his trainings and races records. He can look for them at any time, comparing information back and forth in time to enliven memories from people and races. For example, here, in this, we can see it's a post of 2016, and he's posting this image from Strava, and it says, 3 years ago, this was my first ever logged run. Today I've run a marathon in 3 hours, 19 minutes. Don't give up. And then hashtags, running, motivation. While talking to him and reading his comments of Instagram, it was possible to see how much he was interested in the training's intensity in connection with the city landscape, textures of the terrain, elevation, height, inclination, and other factors displayed in the app maps, where he can relate the strength or weight of his body to his performance in different types of terrain. He also commented on weather and other things in the urban environment. For instance, public water fountains in the city. And in some of his posts, he expresses ideas relating to specific places in the city, the physical sensations and emotional feelings of that specific day. For example, here we have like some references to the body and an injury. Also here, a reference to the body. And then in some of his posts, he expresses ideas relating to specific places in the city, the physical sensations, as I was telling you before. And sometimes he makes tags of people who are runners too, to share the posts and memories. People that had run with him. So, for example, yes, in this other one is a run that he made with another guy who is tagging the person and communicate with the person with the tag. So, indeed, he was constantly referring to the social factor of running. This was a very important factor in his narratives. He said he loved following other runners' profiles on running applications and Instagram, and he actually said that with running, the excuse is to lower your time, but the real goal is to connect with other people. So, the second example is Jess Bonnet and the running club Run For You. Founded 7 years ago with Jess, the leader, when she started the promotion of free weekly training sessions in Barcelona in preparation for the well-known charity race called Women's Race that supports breast cancer prevention. Jess is a 35-year-old woman, former federated athlete, and now a popular runner with winning records. She works as a sporting trainer and is also a PhD candidate in physiology of sports. So I got to know her and her running group through Gemma, another runner participant of this research that belongs to this Run For You group. The first time we saw was when I joined a training session led by her on a Wednesday evening in a city park. So along various months of 2016, we had many encounters while training, running, or having breakfast with other Run For You members. We exchanged thoughts, knowledge, and experiences about running, and I got to know many other members of the club, talked to them, worked out along the beach or along the lone mountains in the city, and almost always dressed up in sporting outfits. So Run For You is a well-known running club in the city. Jess Bonnet and her partner are the leaders of the group, and after many encounters of participation with them, there were many things that could be said about the group and about all these people that belong to the running club. However, for now I just want to signpost particular things that I found relevant for the purpose of this talk. So Run For You has a webpage, which is this one. It's in Catalan, and through this webpage it's possible to have access to photos, general information of the running club, online trainings for people that is not in conditions to join the group physically. It has also information of and promotion of electronic gift cards, a link to a blog, and contact details, and even the contacts for other social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram. So the Facebook webpage contains basically the same information, and Instagram is the most active online platform. So there are two Instagram accounts, her personal and the one of the group has the name of the group in it. So looking through the ways and narratives of the running group and how it is showcased and promoted in Instagram, I have identified three main conductive lines that intermingle with each other and that are also very much related to possible explorations of the body and the city, which is what I'm looking for. So the first one is about sociality. Movement of the body, exercise, fitness, and sports activities are very much motivated in this running club by the ideas of sociality. It is possible to see that Run For You promotes a strong sense of community and belonging to a group of friends or running family, as she writes in one post. The promotion of the dynamics of the group are somehow based on the support given from the leaders and running peers to achieve sporting goals. So while she promotes like her services of training, she basically said here, like, you want to run a marathon, it is not very easy to do it alone. So if you join us, we've been during a month, we had 20 people that finished a marathon with proper training. So if you want to join, you can have like all the support, like the social support of a family or friends, in order you to achieve your goals. So the participation in marathons or the good planning of a race is motivated by social company, good environment, and specialized trainings. Other phase of sociality is the realization of activities beyond running practices like barbecues or thematic parties, also cultural and leisure activities apart from running, and she promotes a lot these kind of activities. So some members of the group stated that although they don't like running, because there are many participants that while talking to them they say, no, I don't like running, not just members of these groups, but in general, Although they don't like running at all, what motivates them to train is the fact of being with people they get along well with, and because they have fun, they disconnect from other spheres of their personal life, and because they just feel good in company. The second main conductive line is the relation with the city and the urban environment, that it is at play when we see, through the posts and the conversations with Jess Bonnet and all the members of the group, is that trainings are planned and realized in various zones of the city according to days, levels of intensity and difficulty, also weather conditions. When it is very hot, they go to the mountain. When it is winter, they go to the beach. Also seasons of the year, and even according to the type of training. If they want to have more speed or more resistance or strength, they look for particular types of terrain in order to enhance this type of trainings. So when having conversations with Jess Bonnet, she acknowledged also the advantages and disadvantages in the use of smart watches in relation to the connection and disconnection between the body and the terrain in which they were training. So she stated that there is an after and before the use of smart watches regarding our conceptualization of space and body. She said that the GPS is very useful because you can discover or explore routes that otherwise you wouldn't dare because you don't know. But also you can become kind of a slave of the watch, and because there are people that just can't stop looking at it. So she said that in her view, depending on the type of personality of each runner or the disposition of each person to be aware, you can get knowledge of your body from the information given by your smartwatch, or you can stop listening your body and lose your own references. So she said you can have particular types of trainings according to sensations of your body and the materials of the city. The experience and difficulty is different if you run in sand or you run in a mountain or in pavement. And the other aspect in relation to the city is connected to travel and tourism. She is an ambassador of Salmon brand of sportwear. So as a runner and a trainer, she promotes and proposes different routes to exercise in the city. In her personal Instagram, we can also witness her running activity in different cities when she travels, when she depicts her timing with a photo of the visited places and a comment promoting the physical activity. Right now it's very popular to have also travel agencies that promote sporting travels in order to go to run a marathon, or they also depict the place because of or promote the place because of the running routes that you can have there. So it's very common, this topic right now. And the third main conductive line that I wanted to state with this example has to do with health and well-being. This could be obvious because generally we link sports with health, but we find here an emphasis on the care of the body instead of just following a fashion of running practices, because there are lots of people that start running because of fashion motivation and they don't follow a proper training, so they become injured easily. But in this running group, and basically Jess Bonnet is very committed to the idea of, apart from specialized running trainings, there is an education and promotion of health through nutrition advices and specific exercises to strengthen the muscles, stretching, and other activities for the improvement of the running technique, where the body is at play in different dimensions of care and prevention. So I finished the second example here, and as a way of closing, I want to say that today I focus on the exploration of two examples of the fieldwork to show mainly how, through the exploration of the uses and mediation of digital technologies and social media platforms, we can grasp intensities, entanglements, meanings, and ways of relating to the urban environment and the body in order to know what is at play in the configuration of subjectivity as a set of complex and open-ended relations. The examples presented included not just two people, but other participants along the ethnographic work, as well as different practices, things, materialities, and relations flowing among them. Along the ethnographic work, it's possible to recognize similar thoughts and expressions among the runners reading uses of digital media platforms and applications for running purposes, as well as same experiences regarding the way they relate to smartwatches, wristbands, and the knowledge they get from them. So there are also many differences and nuances that here are not depicted. That's why by no means I pretend to state final conclusions. So instead I am posing first outputs, possible guidelines, and findings for this work in progress. The used examples depict particular uses, understandings, and experiences, feelings, and interpretations that show similarities and differences to the rest of the participants of the research. And, well, just to conclude, I would like to state these two possibilities to explore further. I think they are important, and I also wanted to open up the discussion about the third night. So the first one has to do with the potentials of sociality, like the social dynamics, lifestyles, community-based actions, solidarity, expansion of our relational limits that we can see in the dynamics of running. And then the other one is the dimensions of desire in order to explore subjectivity. So how embodied capacity for action, empowerment, relational to other people and environments could be explored through this idea of the dimensions of the desire. And also the desire is subject to the interaction with diverse materialities. So, and the last line was, I wanted to open up the debate regarding this idea of the use and the mediation of digital technologies and social media platforms. I would like to discuss about the differences between these ideas. So for me, for today, it's all. I'm done for today. So thank you very much for listening, and